Over the years, I've played countless hours in heavily modded Minecraft, mostly in GregTech. But I always find myself drawn back to vanilla, especially now with all the new features and mechanics added in recent updates. The base game feels more inviting and more challenging than ever. That's why I've decided to start fresh, creating a brand new world where I'll be deep diving into the world of technical Minecraft. For me, the real fun is in the redstone machines, farms, storage systems, and exploring all the creative freedom Minecraft has to offer. This series is all about that journey. I'll take you through my process of relearning the vanilla game to build up an awesome world and of course have some fun along the way. The world was generated on version 1.21.4 where we're ushered into a sunny plains biome at the world spawn. We begin as any new Minecraft world begins with the punching of a tree for wood and getting basic stone tools. Just next to spawn is a quaint little village, which for the beginning of the game is where I decided to establish myself. Inside the village there was food, shelter and a lot of the basic items needed for survival. Not least of which the villagers themselves, which of course will be taken advantage of by giving them a life sentence inside of a villager trading complex. Nothing was going to prevent their escape into our service. Some dirt done the trick, but some villagers were already more cooperative than others. We'll see if that changes. After the first night, I went caving. It's been a while since I've been caving in this game, and it was super refreshing to explore underground while fighting mobs with terrible tools and armor equipped. Pretty early on, I did have our very first close call. I thought it was all over, and a skeleton almost got me. But fortunately, I wasn't too rusty, and he met his demise. I am playing on hard difficulty here, and it will remain that way, as I find easy and normal difficulties in the game not quite challenging enough. And besides, we get the added benefit of being able to guarantee the conversion between villagers and zombie villagers, along with the reinforcement mechanic. The first cave-in trip was a success, as I was able to locate an abandoned mineshaft. Finding that made it simple to collect rails without having to gather an excess amount of iron. One of the first things I want to build is an iron farm, and the rails will make it possible to transport the villagers and the zombies into their correct positions. I was also able to find diamonds, redstone, gold, and even a name tag on the first trip underground. So quite an efficient start already, and I used the diamonds to collect obsidian to take a peek into the Nether, just to scope out the spawn location. Not amazing, but also not over lava, so I guess I'll take it. Back in the overworld, I gathered together some cows, sheep, pigs, and chickens in separate pens within the borders of the village. We'll use these mobs mostly as a source of food in the early game, and also leather. I planted some more crop fields for beets, potato, wheat and carrots, and I lined the banks of the river with sugarcane, so that we could start to build towards an enchantment setup. Almost at level 30, and a skeleton hit a few too many shots on target unfortunately. The first death. I was down at some near surface caves trying to replenish our coal supplies as I'd used it all to smelt the ores from the first cave-in trip. I was hoping to go for a respectable amount of time without dying here, but I guess it wasn't to be. At least this wasn't hardcore mode. Anyways, gear recovered and it was back to base to continue working on a villager breeder and iron farm. It was a relatively straightforward process to set up a fenced farm patch which is occupied by 2 villagers. When the villagers have an excess of food, they will multiply and the baby villager will be stored in a holding location ready to be picked up by a minecart. The minecart transports them up to a large platform, and up here is where we have more villagers who periodically have line of sight to a zombie. This causes them to be on alert and spawn an iron golem. When the golem spawns, it's dropped into water streams and funneled down into a lava blade, where the iron and rose drops are collected and fed into a crafter to convert the iron into blocks, and the roses into bone meal via a composter. This is probably a good time to mention one of the mods I use here, which is the carpet mod by Nembon. This mod allows for a fine control of exactly how the game works, but crucially by default everything is disabled when you install the mod. So essentially it works like the vanilla game and you can customize what mod options you turn on. For this world I'm making use of just 2 carpet features. The first is stackable shulker boxes, which allow stacks of up to 64 boxes within inventories. And the second feature is the player command. This can allow me to spawn in fake players to act as chunk loaders and allow me, or in most cases Steve, to AFK at different farms around the world. There is a few other things in the carpet mod which don't change gameplay necessarily, which I use, such as the ability to show MSPT and TPS on the server, and also log mob spawns and drop rates for certain items, which I'll talk about when we use for different farms down the line. But these are just some extra features which I hope will make learning the technical Minecraft game a much smoother experience. Again, there's a couple of other mods, but I'll mention them when they are relevant. So now that we know about the player command, I had our friend Steve positioned at the iron farm once it was built to have it loaded while I ran around collecting materials for the next project. This was going to be our starting villager trading setup. It probably goes without saying, but I do wish to clarify right now that everything you're going to see here in, well, probably the first few episodes in this series, I don't know how long exactly, but we're all in extremely temporary territory right now. Everything I build here is just to build up resources, enough resources to comfortably tackle the bigger projects I want to undertake in this world. So right now I do not care about aesthetics whatsoever, and I'm fully embracing the lawn-based lifestyle. Any of you guys who have followed me for a while know that this is a bit out of character for Threefold, but it will change in the future. Once we have enough resources, we'll start to put together some nice looking builds. But again, the focus is still on the technical aspect of the game, so the builds come second, but it is still important to me. I haven't completely gone crazy here. I still care about aesthetics, just not for now. So after several more rounds of trading with the villagers, I took a break and ventured back into the heat of the Nether. At this point we had the armor and weaponsmiths, fletchers and librarians, but we were missing the clerics. The clerics are quite valuable as they can trade us redstone and also, as I found out a little later than was convenient, ender pearls. The problem is to get the clerics, their job block is the brewing stand, and without any luck in finding it in the village, the only other option was a fortress. It took quite a while for me to locate a fortress, and it wasn't straightforward to travel to and from, as is common in the Nether. But eventually I arrived at the structure and grabbed some mostly useless loot from the chests, to be honest. But importantly, now that we were here, we had access to blazes, and therefore blaze rods. Shortly after, I returned in shock to find an unusually large swarm of zombies encircling the villager trading room. Instantly I thought the worst and rushed to check on our prisoners, associates, to discover them very much alive and well. I can only assume it was as a result of leaving Steve in the area to load the chunks while I was in the Nether, but I'm quite glad not to have lost all the villagers and all the trades we'd built up by this point, especially not to a mistake like leaving a door open, but all was well. And we now had some clerics and therefore a source of redstone, and that means we can build more starter farms. The next one I threw together was a primitive cobblestone farm, and this simply involves a row of cobblestone generators, water and lava of course, which is pushed by some pistons on a timer, and the stone goes into some fallen TNT, primed TNT, which is duped from a spot above the water collection. This monstrosity is very cheap to build. It does look ugly, but it allows us to build up resources and building blocks as we do other things, such as trading with the villagers. So I had this running for a while as I expanded the villager trading area to add more spaces for villagers. We don't have all of the villagers yet. I'm not going like all out trying to get max out trades. The best of the best villagers. We'll do that another time once we build a dedicated area here. I'm just trying to get the basics like mending, silk touch, efficiency, protection, all the essential trades basically. At this point, the strategy is to use iron to generate emeralds from the villagers. We used sticks in the beginning from the fletchers, just to get the first few emeralds, but now I'm using the iron trade, so it's most often 4 to 1, 4 iron ingots to 1 emerald, which is a pretty good deal, especially given the fact that we have so much iron. So yeah, it's super efficient to generate gear this way. We can get all sorts of stuff, but I'll show you around this villager trading setup later in the video. For now, we move on, and the next farm was to be a slime farm. This will give us access to slime blocks, of course, for redstone contraptions, and also the sticky piston. This has to be put into a swamp biome, as slimes will only spawn in swamps, or in slime chunks. And most often, according to the wiki, they appear in swamps during a full moon, but never on a new moon. So this point is also where I'd like to mention the seed of this world, specifically chosen ahead of time because of its quad witch hut feature. This is one of the projects I'm looking forward to the most, and yeah, figuring this out is going to be massive and span a decent chunk of this series. I want to make a perimeter and connect the witch huts to a storage room in this area, have all the logistics interconnected, but don't ask me how it's going to come together yet because I have no idea. But that's the exciting part. That's the part I'm going to really deep dive into, and we're going to figure out all the systems and how to build it all in vanilla. So yeah, right now at this early stage, going from 0 to Minecraft Hero, which is the point of this, right? I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm doing. All the unknowns for me is what makes it appealing and interesting. The thing is though, the swamp is around 2,000 blocks away from our world spawn, and since we'll be putting a temporary slime farm in for now, I don't want to go like full-blown slime farm. This is just going to be quick and dirty once again, although it turned out to be a bit more efficient than I thought it would be. Yeah, I wanted to build a portal link via the Nether again to travel these 2,000 blocks, as obviously the blocks are divided by 8 when you travel through the Nether, so you have much less travel time than if you travel the full 2,000 blocks in the overworld. The first location that I emerged from wasn't really a suitable spot. I kind of guessed the coordinates in the Nether. So although we still appeared in the swamp, it wasn't the right side of the swamp. So I packed up our stuff and travelled the rest of the way in the overworld, and a couple hundred more blocks to the east we came across our quad witch huts right enough. So another super cheap farm to build, very quick and dirty once again. It's actually more efficient to use brown mushroom. You can see here I use redstone torches. Redstone torches! I used redstone torches. It's actually more efficient if you use brown mushroom, since that can allow you to precisely control the light level. But it didn't have much brown mushroom, and we had redstone torches. That works just as well. It's just that the rates suffer. So I lit up around the swamp. I think it's about a 30 block radius around the swamp. But again, I'll show you around this farm later on. For now, I just parked Steve there and headed out for a bit. Let the server run and came back to quite a lot of slime and a decent supply of slime. Now, the next thing I wanted to tackle was a universal mob farm. This used a lot of blocks, stone bricks in this case, which was easily obtained by the cobblestone farm, and I smelted them in furnaces using lava buckets from a dripstone setup I have in the basement. This farm is comprised of 9 spawnable layers for spawning creepers, skeletons, spiders, zombies, and the occasional witch. It's a common design, I believe first made by ENX04, and it uses a redstone clock to activate the dispensers filled with water buckets to flush the mobs down into a water basin. Most of them perish to fall damage, but occasionally we have some survivors which are taken out by campfires below. The mob drops are collected and stored on site here next to the farm. And yeah, like most of the other farms, we also have an AFK spot for our friend Steve to AFK at, or sometimes me. The farm has been running quite a while, so I'll show you all the drops that we get later on in the video. But yeah, we're now building up a source of gunpowder, which we'll use when we have our elytra. Remember earlier on when I said I realised too late it was possible to get ender pearls from clerics? Well, this is where I wish I knew about that, as it turned out I was short on eyes of ender to open the portal to the stronghold. Oh yes, that's right. While the mob farm was going, I located the stronghold and I built a portal out to... Well, it's actually closer to the swamp than it is to world spawn, which is good for us in the end game since we'll be spending most of our time out in the swamp as we progress in the world. It means faster travel times between important points of interest. I spy, and I kept the silverfish spawner intact, just in case we get an end update and these guys become valuable. That would be nice. Anyways, like I mentioned, I was short on eyes to open the portal. I thought I was being clever here using the old boat trick to safely dispatch of an enderman, which I first went searching for in the Nether without much luck. I did grab a few more blaze rods here since I wasn't diligent enough the first time around, and the one and only enderman I saw did drop me 4 ender pearls though, thanks to the Lootin' 3 sword, which I enchanted using the books from our villager. We do have a Lootin' 3 villager, but yeah, still it wasn't enough to open the portal. On the way back to the village, I made sure to mark the 4 destinations that we now have linked up in the Nether. So the stronghold, spawn, the slime farm, or the swamp, and the fortress. It's still a primitive form of travel here. I want to make use of the more efficient nether roof traversal method. But for now, at least, there's tunnels dug, and they're now marked, so this will do. So I don't know if they've changed something in the game, but it feels like there's way more mobs than there used to be on hard mode here. So yeah, I was hunting some more ender pearls, trying to get them in boats. And I had some pretty funny moments here. Luckily we had some armor by this point, and a good bow, and a good sword. So it wasn't too much trouble, it was actually pretty fun. We even managed to get a record from a skeleton shooting a creeper. But yeah, I was swarmed out here. It was quite the event. But we did manage to get our ender pearls, and yeah, it was time to gear up for the ender dragon fight. I definitely wanted to make sure I had an ender chest with me, and we do have a silk touch pick, so we can pick it back up and move it around. That'll help just in case the worst happens in the end. So after sorting the inventory and getting our best gear on, it was time to head back to the stronghold. Did we have everything? I thought so at the time. I think it's inevitable at this point that we will see some changes to the end dimension, but with the game drops being smaller and more frequent compared to updates in the past, like the Nether update, I'm not sure how much of an overhaul we'll see here. I've heard a lot of suggestion about what they should add to the end, like new biomes and structures, vegetation and ores, but in my opinion at least, the end should ideally remain mostly a barren space in the world, as it was first introduced into Minecraft. I think maybe some unique mechanics in the end could be interesting, like what if there were different drops from killing mobs in the dimension? For example, you kill a skeleton and he drops a levitation enchanted bow, or you take a villager or a wandering trader to the end and they have exclusive trades for you. Some sort of unique game mechanics in the end would be really interesting, I think. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments as to what you'd like to see in a future end update. Anyways, after slaying the dragon and freeing the end, it was time to locate the ship to claim our wings. The first structure I came across was close to the end gateway, but unfortunately didn't contain a ship, and was pretty small. I did decide to leave the shulkers at the entrance alive, which will hopefully make it much easier to transport them later if we decide to build a shulker farm. About 1,000 blocks out, and the second structure I came across fortunately did have our end ship. I made it across the void and fought my way through the city into the ship to claim our wings. The elytra is a big milestone for us in the world, of course, but I'd forgotten to bring rockets with me. How could you forget that? So yeah, I was hoofing it back to the end gateway, unfortunately. Before leaving though, I of course grabbed the loot from the chests in the cities and collected some shulker shells to use for shulker boxes. I didn't get quite as many shulker shells as I wanted to get. I think I only got about half a stack, so I'll have to go back to the end at some point soon to grab some more of those. But it's good that we now have access to them, as shulker boxes are an important part of making use of efficient item storage and movement, so we're going to be using them pretty much everywhere. So yeah, with the mission accomplished, it was time to leave the end and return to our quaint little village in the overworld. Where you're joining me now, I just got back from about an hour's worth of caving again. Now that we have our silk touch pick, we got a lot of 20 deep slate diamond, a ton more gold, some redstone, some lapis, even a new record disc. We got the cat disc, one of the best ones. But I've also been working on trying to build this farm here, which is melon and pumpkins. We got a mixture of the melon and pumpkins planted, and it's on a timer every 2 or 3 minutes. There we go. Perfect timing. The drops go into the water stream, and then they're stored in some chests over there. For now, I think I'll have to expand that soon. But then we also have some sugarcane and some bamboo planted up top. I also have this guy here who I just managed to trap in a boat. I don't know if this guy is going to be useful or not. Hello. I have no idea if we can make use of him now with the raid farms or something. I have no idea, but he's here. Maybe we'll use a name tag on him. I don't know. But yeah, this farm here, and basically all the farms that I've built today are in this episode. It wasn't all in one day, obviously. We're now on day 184. I've spent a long time in this world already, and I know we've like skipped over a lot of stuff. We are going to be slowing down the pace massively here moving forward, as we're going to be deep diving into the redstone. But speaking of the redstone and the farms here, it's not my design. I will absolutely admit that 100%, and I'm not going to try and claim that any of this is my design. So basically all the farms here are by a channel called Frunocraft, so definitely go check it out. I'll make sure to link his channel in the description. I owe the start of this world to him. So I took his schematics here for the melon pumpkin farm, for the slime farm, the iron farm, which is mega efficient. I built the villager breeder on my own here, although it's not too difficult. It's just a crop field, right? And some villagers here in a holding pen. Although I need to figure out how to turn this off exactly. I'm not sure what the best way to do that is. I think maybe if we just like block up right here, because the baby villagers will try and pathfind, and there's a trapdoor right there to the beds. They'll try and pathfind to the beds and be dropped down into the water streams below, where they're held here. Although it's going to get out of hand pretty quickly. But yeah, once again, massive thank you to Frunocraft for providing me with the knowledge to start this world. We are going from zero, zero to Minecraft. I can't take myself seriously when I say that every single time. There's apparently a hole here as well. 0 to Minecraft hero. So yeah, it's taken me a while to get back into the swing of vanilla after so long in modded. So I will be copying designs here at the beginning of the series. Don't expect this to be any sort of tutorial series. It's not. But I'm hoping that for any of you guys who have spent also a long time in modded and haven't really touched the game in so long, this can provide some sort of entertainment and maybe some guidance as to how to play the game like it's not 1.12 again, because I found myself playing with maybe not making use of some of the new features in the game. Even things like using shulker boxes everywhere, it's not something I've played with massively, because we've just always had applied energistics in modded Minecraft, so even that is going to take me a while to get used to, and properly learn how to use all this stuff to its full potential, especially the redstone, which will be, of course, deep diving into in this series. Although, of course, I'm going to try and keep it as interesting as I can. So I want to show you some of the villagers we have here. As you can see, our villagers' trades have grown quite a bit. We only have the 3 clerics right now, which of course give us the redstone, the lapis, the glowstone. We can get a lot of stuff out of these ender pearls, which I didn't realise. And then yeah, we've got Aqua Affinity, Depth Strider, Looting 2, Respiration 3, Mending. We actually have 3 Mending villagers. This one here is 10 emeralds, pretty cheap. Sweeping Edge, Bane of Arthropods 5. I don't know what this guy is. Oh, I'm still re-rolling his trades. Sharpness 5, Infinity. Infinity's really cheap, only 5 emeralds. But I think it's actually completely random what the price of the trades are. A lot of the game mechanics in vanilla are, of course, ever changing, and I am looking forward to the more frequent game drops. But a lot of the mechanics in vanilla, I'll just go here and show you the trades. More efficiency, infinity. A lot of the game mechanics in vanilla are changing all the time. And so some of the stuff I know, and some of it I get confused with modded mechanics and what is like available here to us. There's the other 2 mending villagers there. What is available to us here in the vanilla game? We can also get diamond gear this way as well. Silk touch axe, although more than likely we're just going to grindstone it and use the books to get the best enchants on the gear, even a full set of diamond here, which is kind of broken. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce this world in this first episode. Maybe I'll go and show you the slime farm to finish this out. It's been 2 days since I've traveled to this swamp, and it takes quite a while in the Nether still. Let's see if I remember how to get there. Do I have gold on? I do. Yeah, so we're pretty much in the sandbox phase of Minecraft, which is the fun part. All the progression in vanilla is basically done. But that means that we can make our own fun, right? And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Tackling the big projects like the witch farm. The 4 witch farms. The quad witch farm, plus the storage room. Come on. I've already got return to sender. I want the second one though. Let's see if we can get this. It despawned! Alright, which way are we going? The swamp is this way. Yeah, like pretty much the last 2 things that we don't have in progression is killing the wither, and then also getting netherite, which I haven't touched yet. We're just still using diamond tools, which is, I mean, they're decent enough. At some point I'll grind out the netherite. Somehow a zombie made it up here. I wonder how he got there. The portal is right down here, so I assume he travelled up, but I'm I'm quite surprised by that. I'm so glad I had my elytra on there as well. That could have been so bad. Alright, this is our swamp area. And yeah, last time I was here, I did empty the chest down here, so I don't suspect there's going to be much slime. Yeah, it's pretty much all taken. All being looted. But yeah, this is where we're going to be spending the majority of the time. Like I said, I want to build our storage room here. I want to build a better slime farm. This is going to be removed since it's in the way. And we're going to make a perimeter here. But we need a couple more resources to get that going, and knowledge, and I need to figure out a plan on and how we're going to actually pull that off. I don't know if there's going to be any obstacles in the way in terms of like terrain, how much terrain we're going to have to remove from here. I do have Mini HUD as another mod which can show like bounding boxes of the witch farms, the witch huts. Yeah, right here we can see the bounding box of the structure overlay, and you can get similar things for nether fortresses, which might make it easier to make wither skeleton farms and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to have some mods just to make the technical game a little less, well, remove some of the guesswork, but it's still basically a fully vanilla game in terms of the way it plays. So yeah, it's been quite the adjustment going back to vanilla, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to bringing you guys along with me, learning this game again, and learning all the technical know-how to go from zero to Minecraft. I really can't take myself seriously. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that, but I guess I will. It's cheesy, but we're going to roll with it. We're going to embrace that. So I'm going to go ahead here and keep trading with the villagers. We have plenty of iron to give us tons and tons of emeralds. We already have a decent stockpile of emeralds here, actually. And in terms of storage, our storage needs sorted out. So I think next episode we're going to look at an intermediary storage system. Just not like the end game storage. This is going to end up a mess very quickly if I don't do something about it. So we're going to try and address this next time around. But this is pretty much all we have to our name. Got one of the dragon heads. Pretty much all we have to our name. I didn't pick up the dragon egg though. That's still in the end. But yeah, this is pretty much all we got. I suppose we have some things over here at this farm as well. Melons, pumpkins, sugarcane, which is how we got our rockets. And I guess there's the mob farm, which has been way more efficient, like the slime farm, but way more efficient than I thought it would be. I mean, look at this. It's been... I've already taken quite a bit out of it. We got bones. I did add some item sorters after the fact, which wasn't in the schematic for this, so I kind of know how these work now, but I'll cover and try to explain my understanding as to how item filters work. But there's a lot of new item filters now that we have things like the copper bulb. Yeah, the technical aspect of this game is growing so much now that we have like new features. There's so much new stuff being discovered, and I'm looking forward to playing around with it. Arrows, string, overflow. I don't quite know why there's arrows here. I think it might be because the hoppers get overwhelmed. Or maybe just because it's full, I suppose, and this one is unfiltered. But yeah, I think I've rambled here enough. I'm going to wrap up this episode, and we're going to come back next time. Not sure what we'll start with, but like I said, I do want to tackle that storage system. I'm going to keep on trading with the villagers. Yeah, look at that. 60 emeralds, just like that. This is kind of insane. It's kind of broken. Maybe we'll see a villager trade rebalance come into the game as well. But anyways, for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Zero to Hero.